welcome to Art Lessons with Bobby. I'm Bobby, and today we're going to do part 2 of Scribble Art. Now, last week I was able to read this book called The Beautiful Oops. I love this book. I hope you get a chance to check back and read it if you haven't yet. So when we did this book, we learned how to turn our mistakes into masterpieces, and we practiced doing that last week with Scribble Art. So we did a scribble on a piece of paper, and we used our imagination muscle, and we found some objects within that scribble that might look familiar to us. It's kind of like looking up on a cloudy day and just imagining that the clouds are different shapes that we might recognize and things like that. And so last week we found those objects. This week we're going to turn those objects into a masterpiece. So the way we're going to start that is to turn your paper over, and we're going to draw that object, the one thing, on the back of your paper. So one side you have the scribble, and then you want to turn the paper over and you want to just draw that one object you found on the back. You might need to take your picture to the window so you can see through it a little better. That would help. Now, while we're doing this art project with Scribble Art, I want us to think about this really wonderful artist that I love. His name is Marc Chagall. Now, what I love about Marc Chagall, and a lot of other artists, but Marc Chagall was always able to tell stories with his artwork. So he incorporated things from his life in his artwork. And if you look at his pictures, there's usually something from his life that you can see going on in them. They're like a narrative. This one is called I in the Village. This is a narrative of his childhood. So you can see he had a farm, he had some animals, he looked like he was pretty happy actually. So I encourage you to look into Marc Chagall. I don't have time to do that today on the video. I'd like you to just, look him up. You can find this book. This is a whole series of books, Art for Children, that I got years ago. So while you're thinking about your story for what your object is doing and tracing it onto the back, you can watch the next part of my video where I go through how to do this. Hi guys, welcome back. So this is, in case you're just tuning in, this is part 2 of Scribble Art with my Art Lessons with Bobby. And what we did before was we had a piece of paper and we closed our eyes and we scribbled for a little bit all around the paper. And then after we opened our eyes, we looked and we tried to find objects. And on the last episode, I was able to find this object by tracing around the scribbles. And this reminded me of a hummingbird. So what I did was I took my paper over to a window and I could kind of see through. And I traced this image that I darkened in. I traced it through to the back. And so now all I can see is this image that I'm going to call a hummingbird. And the thing is we don't want it to look exactly like the image. We want it to kind of look a little abstracted or slightly unrealistic. So then what I want you guys to do, after you get your image down, I want you to think about a story that might go along with your image. So let's look at a couple of these. So here is a scribble that I found, and in this one I found a butterfly. And here's another one. This one I also kind of found a butterfly. I didn't trace that one. It wasn't super good. That's the cool thing about using computer paper is you can always, scratch it and start over. So this is a shark's fin that I found in this scribble right here. So I bet there's a lot of stories I could tell about this shark swimming. Is it a good shark or a bad shark? And then this one, I actually already did this one. So here's what I'm talking about. So in this scribble, I found this dipper thing. I took my scribble to the window and I traced through the paper because it's pretty see-through. I traced my dipper, and then I started to tell a story about what this dipper scooper thing is doing. So can you tell what it's doing? It's scooping chocolate out of a can. Your story doesn't have to be super complicated. I mean, you can add to it. You could add, to your story. Think about why that's all happening. Okay, so let's get back to the hummingbird. So here's the next step. So I have this this bird traced. Now, the hummingbirds that I know, they actually they get their nectar and stuff out of flowers. So I'm feeling like I should draw some kind of a flower here. Now, I love drawing flowers, so I'm gonna draw a really big, messy kind of flower here, around like that. So there's my flower. And I want to show you guys, see how the flower kind of is going to be going off the page. I love it when things go off the page. My students have been learning about the artist Marc Chagall, and he sometimes lets his pictures kind of go off the page because it's like there's more to the story than you can see. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a horizon line in the background. So that's going to kind of give you an idea of what's going on in this picture. Where is this bird even flying? Then that'll give you the opportunity to put some clouds. If you guys have a picture like this with something close up, this will make space in your picture. So with the horizon line, you could do a sunset, or you could do some clouds or a sunshine or whatever you want to do. Then you have something in the foreground, you have a background, and then you can do something in the middle ground, like maybe put a tree sort of lingering back here. Notice how everything is just kind of sloppy. We're not really, doing anything too detailed. So maybe I'll just do a couple of trees to fill this space. Notice how the tree trunks come down below the horizon line. If our trees were way up here, like this, they would be floating. So your trees have to be below the horizon line. Okay, so once you get a couple of different things on here, I always like to Sharpie the things that I for sure want to keep. So make sure, see how I just have one piece of paper here? Make sure you put some extra paper. I'm going to put this piece of scrap paper under here. Make sure you put something under so your Sharpie doesn't go all the way through to the table. So I'm going to Sharpie my abstract, sort of dreamlike hummingbird. There's this wing and his tail and his eye. Now I'm going to Sharpie my flower. Now you can really think about the story while you're Sharpieing. This is a nice quiet time to kind of think about what's going on. What is this? What is if it's a creature, what is its name? Does it have a name? Does it have friends? Oh, now see how I don't want to go through my horizon line. I does not want to go through my tree trunk. This is called overlapping. So my tree trunk is going to go in front of the horizon line. So I'm going to pick up the horizon line and I'm going to continue it after the tree trunk. And I'm going to stop. My tree trunk is in the way. So now I'm going to continue it over there. Then we're going to get the green parts. And then maybe a branch coming up like that. I don't know. Okay, so there's my really simple drawing. Now, this is the fun part. We're going to add color. So I'm going to color my picture. And when it's all done, I'm going to put a picture of it at the end of the video. And I will show you my finished Marc Chagall-like scribble art.